or this process will cause decrease in affinity of hemoglobin with oxygen, ensuring more and more supply or release of oxygen to the tissues. Okay? Clear so far?
Doctor, you mean it's happened after the release of oxygen to the tissue?
It's a simultaneous process. It's a simultaneous process. The thing is, I don't want to go into that. Okay, that will be coming in the RS. We are taking a separate route. The thing is, basically, you know about diffusion. Diffusion will occur whenever there is more partial pressure of a gas on one side and less on another side. At the tissue level, partial pressure of oxygen is more inside and less outside. This will be the first thing which will cause movement of oxygen outside. Outside means from inside the blood to the extravascular tissue. But once it is occurring at the same time, okay, because of the metabolic processes which are going on in the tissues, also metabolism which is going on inside the RBC itself, you have to keep in mind. So these are simultaneous processes which are occurring. So that will cause a reduction in oxygen already inside the hemoglobin. Why? Because of the diffusion. Okay? And once slightly reduction is there, that means at the same time there is increase in 2,3 DPG and hydrogen ion. And then this process increases more and more. More and more is coming in from the tissue also, from within the RBC also. You understand now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So those are the reactions. One more reaction that you have to keep in mind is about carbon monoxide. Now carbon monoxide, CO, is not CO2. CO2 is more stable. CO is more like ready to bind with something. So what happens is it is having a very high grade affinity for hemoglobin as compared to oxygen. Okay?
Yes.
As compared to oxygen. So
carbon monoxide is very
highly affinity for hemoglobin. So what will it do if it is having a high affinity for hemoglobin? What will it do? It will very rapidly and very competitively, it will bind with hemoglobin.
Yes.
And very strongly also because the affinity is high. So when it will bind very strongly, that means what? It will in fact prevent binding of oxygen.
Yes.
But
And
it
lead
will
to
not.
hypoxia. That is the eventual.
But it will not bind when there is oxygen already bind.
Exactly. Okay? In fact, it may even do that. It is so strong. It is said that it is 20 times more stronger. So maybe it may also dissociate some of it. And this is one of the ways, I mean, I should not tell you this, but this is one of the ways in which people commit suicide. You know, suicide, killing oneself. Killing oneself. Where is the carbon monoxide coming from? They will take their car, they will drive into their garage, you know the garage? In the house, they will close the garage, they will put a pipe in the exhaust, a pipe, and the pipe will come inside the car, and they will roll up the windows. The pipe is coming, the exhaust is coming, the exhaust of the car is coming inside the car, and this person is sitting inside the car. He is breathing carbon monoxide, most of it. Slowly all is, and he doesn't even know, it is painless. Mostly it is painless. Okay, let us come back. Okay, so carbon monoxide reacts with hemoglobin to form carboxyhemoglobin. Affinity of hemoglobin for oxygen is much lower, or in other words, affinity of carbon monoxide is much higher.
Yes.
Okay, so for hemoglobin is much lower than its affinity for carbon monoxide, which consequently displaces oxygen. Displaces even. So Abdullah, you are saying, will it displace? Yes, it may even displace, yani dissociate. Already, you said that already oxygen that is bound with hemoglobin, it will not do anything to it. But in fact, it is so strong, it may even cause the oxygen to be removed and it will go and take its place. Second point is, heme is also part of the structure of myoglobin. You know myoglobin. Myoglobin is the structure in the muscle. Okay? An oxygen binding pigment found in the red muscles, skeletal muscles. In addition, there is neuroglobin. So what does this myoglobin do in times of, so it is sort of a reservoir. You know reservoir is in times of excessive need of oxygen by the exercising muscles, like a person is running, athletic event for example, or a marathon,
Yes.
running for I don't know, 10 kilometers, 40 kilometers? Real marathon is 40 kilometers.
Yeah.
So maybe mini marathon is 10 kilometers or 20 kilometers, but that's not a joke to run all those kilometers. So where is the energy coming from? One of the sources is myoglobin. Another is for the brain. There is something called as neuroglobin, an oxygen binding globin found in the brain, appears to help supply oxygen to the neurons. Hemoglobin in the fetus. Now again, this hemoglobin is also having more affinity for oxygen. Why? Because the fetus is in a chronic state of hypoxia. Am I correct when I say this?
Yes.
It is continuously in a state of hypoxia. Why? It's not directly exposed to the air. Whatever oxygen is coming, it is coming through the mother's blood, maternal blood. Correct?
Yes.
Maternal blood has to supply maternal tissues and the fetus. More and more, the more the fetus grows, more is its requirement. Okay? So the fetus is in a state of chronic hypoxia. To overcome this phenomena, normal hemoglobin is not there. Normal hemoglobin, by that I mean HbA type of hemoglobin. It's not there. If HbA type of hemoglobin will be there, the fetus will be in distress. Isn't it? There is different type of hemoglobin. It is called as HbF. So what is it? It is alpha 2 delta 2. HbF is alpha 2 delta 2. Okay? So the structure is similar except for the beta chains. Here the beta chains are changed. In HbS, the beta chains, HbA2, the beta chains were again of a different type.
Yes.
Isn't it? Fetal hemoglobin is normally replaced by adult hemoglobin. So the next question that comes to the mind is, if the fetus or the growing child is having HbF, how come, when does it convert? So it converts immediately. It starts to convert as soon as the child is born. Isn't it wonderful? Because this is determined genetically. It is the genes which will determine what type of chains are being formed. Isn't it? And the genes, they know that now this fetus is being delivered. So immediately they convert the HbF to HbA. Okay? Is normally replaced by adult hemoglobin soon after birth, as soon as the child is born. In the body, its oxygen content at a given partial pressure is greater than that of adult hemoglobin because it binds 2,3-DPG less avidly. Avidly and strong.
Yes.
If 2,3-DPG binding is less, affinity is less, oxygen binding is more. This facilitates movement of oxygen from the maternal to the fetal circulation. This is just a line that in certain individuals it fails to disappear and persists throughout life. In certain human beings, this HbF, it is not completely converted to HbA. Some of it will be there in the person. Maybe
What's the complication?
some adult persons also behave childishly. Maybe. Okay, abnormalities of hemoglobin production. Many synthesis of hemoglobin. So we are going very short. We didn't cover the whole of hemoglobin and all. That will be covered in biochemistry. Amino acid sequences in the polypeptide chains of hemoglobin are determined by genes, globin genes, right? So there are two things that you have to keep in mind. One is hemoglobinopathy and another is thalassemia. What is hemoglobinopathy? The hemoglobin itself is different. Hemoglobin itself is different. Whereas thalassemia is, hemoglobin is okay, but the chains, they are deficient. Suppose hemoglobin chains should be 100 in number. So in thalassemia,
Less.
yeah, they will be less or absent altogether. The number of chains will be less or absent altogether. That condition is called as thalassemia. But if the chains are different, and the hemoglobin is different, that is called as a hemoglobinopathy. So you understand the difference between these two disorders of hemoglobin? One is hemoglobinopathy, another is thalassemia.
Hemoglobinopathy affects or is sort of hemoglobin itself.
Yes, you can read here. There are two major types of inherited disorders of hemoglobin. Inherited. Okay, yani it will go from father, mother to child, from child to his child, and so on and so forth. The hemoglobinopathies in which abnormal polypeptide chains are produced. Abnormal polypeptide chain. That means the hemoglobin is abnormal. Hemoglobinopathy. The pathy is in the hemoglobin. Thalassemia, in which chains are normal in structure but produced in decreased amount or absent.
But thalassemia is inherited.
Both of them. Both of them are inherited. Let's go on. Mutant genes. What do you mean by mutant genes? What do you mean by mutation?
Abnormal after life, after getting birth.
Exactly. X-Men.
Yes.
Mutants. Mutation. Mutant genes that cause the production of abnormal hemoglobins are widespread, and about 1,000 abnormal hemoglobins have been described. 1,000. More than 1,000. C, E, I, J, S, etc., etc. So S for us is more common. That is causing sickling of the cells, and hence sickle cell anemia.
Okay.
Hemolytic, one of the hemolytic anemias. In most instances, the abnormal hemoglobins differ from the normal hemoglobin A in the structure of the polypeptide chains, like alpha 2, beta 2, normal
Yes.
polypeptide chains. In hemoglobin S, for example, alpha chains are normal, beta chains are abnormal, like we have already seen. And because among the 146 amino acid residues in each beta chain, one glutamic acid residue has been replaced by valine. Just imagine. Out of the 146, only glutamic acid
Replaced by
is replaced. One is replaced by valine, and you are in trouble. Just look at it. Out of 146, it's not like 100 are changed. It needs only one
Just one
change
change.
for the result to be life-taking. It can be fatal. And this is the normal hemoglobin, and this is the sickle cell sickling of the hemoglobin. Why does this happen? And normally, even if a person has HbS type of hemoglobin, he or she won't know it unless and until he or she undergoes a period of hypoxia. Because of whatever reason. Maybe because of exercise, or maybe simply going to a higher altitude.
Yes.
So this hypoxia causes the sickling of the cells. Actually, it changes the structure of the hemoglobin, crystallizes it, and crystals of hemoglobin are formed, which will naturally, usually it is like a colloid form. You can twist it, you can change the form, nothing will happen to it. Hypoxia will cause crystallization of the hemoglobin. Crystals are, they cannot change form, they are solidified. And these crystals, they will change the form of the hemoglobin, not only the hemoglobin, the RBC also. At low oxygen tensions, that means hypoxia. Synthesis of hemoglobin, normal average, I am not giving you the actual synthesis, I am just talking in words and figures here. Hemoglobin content, how much? 16 grams per deciliter in men and about 14 in women, all of it in red blood cells. In a 70 kilogram person, there is about 900 gram of hemoglobin, almost like 1 kilo, you can say. Almost 1 kilogram. So 900 gram of hemoglobin, and 0.3 gram of hemoglobin is destroyed and 0.3 grams synthesized every hour. And look at the balance. Exactly. 0.3 is destroyed, 0.3 is generated every hour. Heme portion of the hemoglobin molecule is synthesized from glycine and succinyl coenzyme A. Catabolism, that means breakdown.
Yes.
In again very short, globin portion is split off and heme is converted to biliverdin. Biliverdin is converted to bilirubin. Heme is reused. Heme is reused for new RBCs in the bone marrow. What about the bilirubin? The bilirubin is either excreted in the feces, isn't it? In the fecal matter. It is bilirubin which gives the color to the stools,
Yeah.
isn't it? So it is excreted like that. And another point that I would like to tell you is exposure of the skin to white light This line, white. Okay, you must have seen in pediatric wards, newborn infants who are suffering from erythroblastosis fetalis and hence jaundice. Most of the newborn infants, they will have physiological jaundice. What is jaundice?
Hyperbilirubinemia.
Excessive deposition of bilirubin. To put it very simply,
Yes, yes.
excessive deposition. So newborn babies usually have physiological jaundice. Why do they have it? Because the red cell count is higher when they are inside the mother. Why is the red cell count higher? Because they are in hypoxia. Because they are in hypoxia. And hypoxia is one of the important stimulants for generation of more and more red blood cells.
Will you open the liver?
Hmm?
Will you open?
Breakdown. You mean breakdown? Is that it? Yes.
Breakdown in liver.
Yeah. So, more and more red blood cells are formed. More and more red blood cells are needed because the fetus is in hypoxia. When the child is born, when the fetus is delivered, now all those excess red blood cells, they are immediately destroyed. So there is massive. Okay, is saying something?
Sorry.
What?
No, no, it's okay.
There is massive destruction of red blood cells. When there is massive destruction of red blood cells, of course, the hemoglobin that is inside the red blood cells, it will also be degraded. And degradation product of hemoglobin is bilirubin. So the infant is all yellow in color. And the best treatment for the infant, you must have seen in the pediatric ward, is keep it in a near a source of white light. Even the small tube light, the reading
Yeah.
lamp. You
Yes,
must
yes.
have a reading lamp at home.
Yes, yes.
So reading lamps which are having this white light,
Yes.
white tube light. The infant is lying and the white light is kept on the infant. Just that is the treatment. Why? Because exposure of the skin to white light converts bilirubin to lumirubin.
Oh.
And this lumirubin its half-life is half of that of normal bilirubin. So it will go away faster. White light will convert the bilirubin into lumirubin, and lumirubin, because its life is with half of that of bilirubin. Okay? So it will be degraded very much rapidly, and hence the infant is soon coming back to normal. On the basis of hemoglobin and hematocrit, anemia can be classified as mild, moderate, or severe. Mild anemia, moderate anemia, or severe anemia. On the basis of duration of onset, anemia can be classified as either chronic or acute. Right? Duration of onset, very simple. Then we can apply the rule of 3. What is the rule of 3? For hemoglobin, for hematocrit. RBC, yani count, multiplied by 3 will give you the hemoglobin. Like, for example, 5 million. 5 into 3, 15 grams per deciliter. Rule of 3. Similarly, for hematocrit, hemoglobin into 3. Say hemoglobin is 15. 15 into 3, 45. And I told you that hematocrit is 45. Isn't it? So that is the rule of 3, for example.
Each one of RBC has a free hemoglobin.
Each hemoglobin, each RBC, each erythrocyte. 4.
For hemoglobin.
Not hemoglobin. We are talking about you are talking about the structure of hemoglobin, right?
No.
Why
This
you multiply
multiply.
with 3?
Yes. Why we multiply it by 3?
Why multiplied by 3?
Yes.
Based on experience. Based on, yani you find out that
As
usually it is
usual
15. So, and what is the usual count of RBC? It is usually 5. So it comes to the mind that, oh, if you multiply 5 by 3, we are getting hemoglobin.
Okay.
It is just something yani, like a thumb rule, thumb rule which you use for quick calculation.
Yes, yes.
So it will not be accurate. This is not a scientific calculation. This is just something to remember or something quickly to calculate something.
Okay.
Nothing scientific about it. Human beings do like this, take shortcuts. It's a shortcut. Ratio of hemoglobin and hematocrit. Hemoglobin and hematocrit will vary. Again, it will be different.
Yeah.
With cause of anemia, what is the cause? And affect the RBC indices accordingly, particularly the mean corpuscular volume. Microscopic examination of the peripheral blood smear is very essential in all the anemias. Okay, required for evaluation of anemia, bone marrow aspirates and smear evaluation may also be needed. Bone marrow aspiration, usually bone marrow is taken from the sternum, okay, manubrium sterni or the hip bone. Okay, the RBC indices, what are they?